Hello there, Together Learners. Eric back again. Have you ever been making a website or maybe some slides for a presentation and thought to yourself, I wonder what kind of picture I need here? I want some sort of image, but I'm not quite sure what to show here. Or perhaps you've been out and you see some new company's logo and I wonder what they're trying to communicate with that. That's a little strange. Well, in this video, we're going to be talking about just that. Talking about applying the idea of denotation and connotation as we use images, pictures, photos to communicate things with our graphic design, with our web design, with our PowerPoint presentations, whatever that might be. Coming right up in this video. Right. So connotation and denotation are things that we use in language learning, but this is a key concept to understand deeply if you want to start communicating your ideas better on the web or in your graphic design or in your PowerPoint presentations, whatever that might be, using any type of new media, understanding what you're communicating with that graphic or that image or that photo or that video is key. That concept is super key. And in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the underlying concepts, mainly how you connotate a meaning or you denote a meaning out of pictures. There is a growing trend on the web, for example, to use less words and to use more pictures, more video, more graphics to communicate your message, your idea, your thought, a feeling, because words are not necessarily universal. Pictures aren't really either, but they're a little bit better at communicating things cross-culturally or beyond a particular language. But more that, it says a lot more, and it says a lot more to the person receiving it. We're going to get into that all right now in this video. Right, so let's talk about these concepts, these words here. You may or may not be aware of them. Connotation and denotation. Connotation and denotation. Well, starting with denotation, and what is it? It's usually these terms are used when we're trying to study a language. In English language, to denote and to connotate things is a concept that you learn when you're trying to be an author or a poet. And so we're going to take some of these concepts and apply them to new media design. So to denote something, or the denotation of it, is the literal meaning of the word. It's the strict definition of that word. So if you were to get your dictionary and look up that word, that is what that word is supposed to denote. But we often know words often have other meanings to us. They often have bigger meanings, or they're connected to symbols or people or places and things and all sorts of emotions that come to mind when we think of a particular word. We don't always think about that literal meaning in the dictionary. And that is what it means to have something connotate something. The connotation of a word is a feeling from which that word invokes inside of us. It's a feeling you get from that word. It's the meaning in addition to, other than that definition that you find in the dictionary. So often this is different for different people, maybe different cultures or different people of different backgrounds. When they think of a word, they have a different message in their mind, a different feeling. Maybe it's connected to a different tone, a good or a bad tone, or any other types of things that we can attach with our own experiences and thoughts and history and feelings and culture and all that stuff to language, to that word, right? So let's talk about some examples of this, right? So if we're going to compare some easy examples of denotation and connotation, let's look at these two example sentences. You're a wizard, right? If we were to take this at its literal meaning, this denotation, "You're a wizard," meaning this is a line that you might hear in a Harry Potter movie or something. You are a person that can do magic, which of course can't be real, right? You're not really a wizard, but wizard also is a connotation for other meanings outside of the literal definition you would see in the dictionary. Smart, clever, can do interesting and creative pieces of work or something like that, like a Gandalf, right? So when you say you're a wizard, you're not really saying that you can do magic. You're saying that you've done something fantastic, something creative, something amazing, something very clever. So when you say you're a wizard, you're connotating the meaning from the wizard. Same thing with you're a dog. So this is a little bit negative tone, right? Before we have a kind of a little bit of a positive tone, right? You're being complimentary to the person. So, but when you're saying you're a dog, you're not saying that person is a literal dog, unless you're actually talking to your pet dog, right? You're a dog, but you're usually talking to another human. And of course, they're not a dog. So you might mean that that person is dishonest, or sometimes this means ugly, right? So this can be a very negative term when you say that to somebody, right? Somebody's not being perhaps faithful either. That's another connotation from the animal dog when applying it to somebody, right? So you can get this kind of thing. So when we show images, we're going to come back to this kind of same concept and idea in just a little bit, right? There's the actual meaning of the word, but there's also these other things that are connected to it. And usually that is the stuff that makes us feel, that is the stuff that gives extra and deep meaning to the image that we're showing. Some other things around color. There's a lot of meaning in color. And that's why it's so important to think about color when we put things into images and things into our websites and graphic design as well. So examples from color: she is blue. If she's really blue, if this woman or this girl is the color blue, she might be choking. So she might need some help. But this doesn't mean that person is really the color blue. Their skin is not blue. Usually blue is a cool color. And usually blue is the kind of the feeling that you're sad, a little ennui, a little bit down and out. You are blue. That we even have a whole category of music called the blues. So to say he is blue or she is blue is not really saying that they're the color. You're connotating a meaning out of that color. And we do the same thing with images and pictures when we put them into our websites and our graphic design and our videos, when we color grade them and whatever. Right? So to get back to it, to denote something, a denotation is that thing, that literal thing, that meaning. So if you show something as a picture, you're denoting that thing. You're not thinking of something else or something connected to it. But to connotate something, the connotation of that thing is something more, something else, an extra feeling, an extra meaning that we prescribe to that word. And so we can take this concept now and try to apply it to graphic design, web design, film editing, video editing, etc. So I'd like to take the example of drinking a cup of coffee, which I'll take a sip right now. Oh, so wonderful, tasty. Coffee is very delicious. One of my favorite things in the world. So we look at this simple illustration and we think coffee cup. It's a very plain illustration. There's not much else going on. We can see a little bit of brown inside the coffee cup. So we're seeing coffee, and we're thinking coffee. This is the closest I can get to an image that is a denotation of coffee. But if we start adding or manipulating this image or this photo with other colors, other symbols, other shapes, we start to connotate extra meaning from it. We go back one extra image. This is almost the same illustration, but all we're doing is adding a little bit of wavy lines that connotate. These wavy lines don't really denote much, but they connotate. They have the feeling, the image, the extra meaning of the heat coming off. And so we think hot. So now instead of coffee, we're thinking warm. We're thinking the cup is hot. We're thinking that feeling that it is when we have a warm cup of coffee. We're feeling a little bit heated up, right? We're thinking not just coffee, we're thinking hot coffee and everything related to drinking something warm. Take it a step further. Now we'll look down onto the cup. So now we're not really even thinking about the coffee. We're thinking about the artistry of making coffee. So now we're connotating all of these images of a barista, perhaps, or being in a cafe, perhaps, or the way that this is put, the milk is put into a latte or something like that to make this kind of beautiful artwork inside of your coffee. And so you're looking top down. You're not necessarily thinking coffee, but you're thinking everything that's involved with the coffee. You're maybe even starting to think about taking a break or visiting a cafe or talking with your friends, everything that's related to that, right? You often see these pictures on Instagram a lot more than you see this picture. The reason is that you're connotating a lot more meaning. People are looking at it a little bit more, trying to pull or kind of think about what's going on in their brains, the meanings that they're pulling out of this particular image. Because somebody put this in, there's a heart in there. So what were they thinking when they put this art in there, and how did they do that? And what exactly might that mean? And do you want to drink it? Will it mess it up? Or there's all these extra things that you might connotate, get out of this image that is more than just thinking about coffee. Color, as I mentioned before, has a big meaning and can draw different connotations from people. So we just change this coffee cup to red, and we can think it's a much more warm feeling. Before, when he said he is blue, you could also say he is red. That means that person is embarrassed, or they're angry or frustrated or something like that. There's a whole lot of meanings. Red is a warm color. It's excitement, and it is also love. So you might not get love directly from just a red cup. So therefore you add the extra hearts and the design of the latte in it itself. And now you're feeling not just coffee, but gift, or a coffee date, perhaps, or where, you're meeting somebody for the first time at a cafe and getting to know them or something like that. Or giving coffee as a present for example, Valentine's Day. There's all of these extra emotions, meanings that we're adding to this. And as we think a little bit more deeply about this concept, you're going to start to see extra meanings, extra feelings, extra things you're communicating with the images that you choose to display on your website or your graphic design or your PowerPoint presentations, etc. Right. I think this is the last example. So this is a different cup. It's like a to-go cup, but it's plain, and so we have to think about, what does this denote? It kind of denotes cup. Maybe some people will look at it and connotate coffee, but it's not really coffee. So in this case, you might actually have to think a little bit deeply. Is this really telling people coffee? And if so, do I have to change it in some way to make sure people understand that I'm trying to communicate coffee? Maybe to-go coffee. So we couldn't show that image before with the cup and the heat waves dissipating from the coffee cup, but we want to show that perhaps you're a cafe and you want to show people on the go with their coffee cups. So we'll add coffee beans and that hot kind of thing to the label. And therefore, we're starting to get a little bit more. We're starting to connotate the image of to-go cup coffee, starting to denote a couple of things extra into it. And all those things combine to communicate new things with our images. All of these things and more, we want you to practice, and we're practicing them in our course, New Media Fundamentals at togetherlearning.com. It's a part of a larger course and series of courses where you can learn different things around digital literacy. And we have some assignments there where you can practice communicating with images and discuss them with the rest of our students taking these courses in our togetherlearning.com platform. So if you're interested in trying some of these things out together and sharing them with us, please come and think about joining us and practice your communicating with images. All right. I hope you kind of got this concept down pat. It's going to help you learn and think about what images you're using, what graphic design you're using, what colors you're using. Just start to think about this idea of what is this denotating and what is this connotating, and perhaps start to manipulate or use different images to try and think a little bit more deeply about what you're communicating with the images you choose. Okay, guys, I'm Eric, signing off. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.